And I believe that would make it so they would basically be above Boom. So it's just a matter of whether they can do that. That may kind of... Well, if Boom lose 0-2, there's no tiebreaker going on between them and a droid. So basically the only chance here for TNC is if they can just get two 2-0s in a row and Boom loses 0-2 tomorrow. Which it's Boom, which it makes it kind of hard to imagine them losing 0-2, especially considering the last series we just watched. But they are going to be playing up against... no, they are playing Reality Rift. I already said that. So I guess we'll see how well RR's playing today. And depending on that, we could kind of make some kind of judgment, I guess, on tomorrow's matchup. But that's what they're sort of relying on.
Yeah, it's a lot, but that makes a lot of pressure on this match. So TNC, they're not pulling any stops. We see the Legion Commander come out for KP. He plays that really well. Like, this is not something that's very ping sensitive, so he has a lot of leeway in just being effective early on. I think we've seen him play this as well, so I like it here. With the Kunkka, with the Marana, it's going to be hard to lose a duel. And even with the Chen, as long as you have 6 available, the heal ensures that KP should be able to freely throw out duels when he wants. RR, they've got to find something that deals with this kind of early draft TNC has. It's pretty fast and pretty potent, so maybe something to maybe it's something that helps build off from the duel. They do get the morph at
Okay.
it what's left. They've got the shaker. A lot of teams just pick it up in that case.
Well, if there's any team that knows how to play against Morph Shaker, it must be TNC. They were the ones that originally really made this kind of work. So they should be very well aware of how to deal with this. I think with any kind of Chen lineup anyway, the general idea is you just run over the other team, in 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes if it goes that long. Not that Chen can't be effective later on anyway, but you get my point. You just want to try and put on a pace that they can't keep up with, get a net worth advantage, take map control, and finish the game. And it's just a matter of whether RR are going to have the time to get that Morphling online to be a real powerhouse, which they should, but it will depend on how the game goes after that 10-minute mark. We'll see the Monkey King being banned out now from TNC. And RR are looking for some kind of mid laner that can set the tempo for the team, right? Because you do need to buy the Morphling space.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that's going to be a beast mid at all. Again, the matchup against Kunkka is just not good. So you're looking for something else there. For RR, Alacrity has some options here. TA is very hard up against Kunkka. Like, early on, that's fine, but as the game goes on, the torrent just blows up your refraction. So your mid to late game durability is not kind of there until the BKB. SF is an option as well for RR. These are just Alacrity specials, and these are stable mids that they tend to rely on, so they're left in the pool. They want one of those two options.
What will it be, though? Alright.
10 seconds remaining.
20 seconds reserve time to have a think about this final pickup now for this Dire side. I wouldn't mind the TA. I think the TA could be a nice fit here for RR. So continue to just have a think about it.
TNC Predators.
And it'll be the Ursa.
Ooh.
So maybe a mid Morphling perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's what they're looking for. Mid Ursa is also a thing. I just don't know about the matchup against Kunkka. That doesn't sound very safe. It's
Right.
also a bit risky for Morph, but you can juggle a bit better. So it looks to be Alacrity Morph, which I believe we've seen once from RR, so not too strange, but it's most definitely not a special. It's not the TA, it's not the SF, so it's less explosive and less fast, which is really where we see Alacrity shine. We'll see if he hits that timing here on Morph. And TNC now looking for a closer. It is going to be Gabby's hero. I'm not sure about this one, but you could maybe make an argument for Void. No, they go with Spec. So they want to play the long game too. If you want to stall with your Morph, we're going to stall with a Spectre.
Okay. All right. I don't mind. I really did think the side of TNC was going to really keep going with that very fast-paced sort of lineup. But I suppose with the spec, you don't need to be there. Just keep farming, let your team start the fight, you'll haunt in afterwards. You know? That should be the case here for the side of TNC, though RR definitely do have the tools in place to deal with this draft from TNC. It should be a very fun matchup to watch, and it is our final series of the night, so I look forward to having an exciting matchup here between these two.
Oh yeah, it's always a treat for me when we see RML's Kunkka. I think he's really just very flashy in that hero. So we'll see how much he brings out. The one worry I have for TNC is Gabby's timing. He's gonna have to face the potential onslaught of RR playing fast. The key thing here is RR cannot afford to wait too long for the Ags combination. Like, yeah, you can stall it till late game, but that Ursa has such an early advantage over the spec that stalling this game out will kind of compromise that really strong start RR wants to build up. So they really have to play a bit faster here, clear the map out, don't allow Gabby to farm if they do want that win.
Okay. See how it all pans out. It's going to be game number 1, of course. This is a best-of-2 series between TNC and RR. See what they can make happen. We are just going to wait to get into the game.
Yeah, it's sometimes feels a bit longer in this strategy phase for whatever reason. Like sometimes it's kind of snappy, but sometimes it just draws out for whatever. I can't tell why that happens. No one's disconnected or paused. So
I believe
just...
what it is if a player takes too long to pick the hero, like if they wait till the last second to pick that hero, then the timer will only start from here to the loading screen. Up until like every single person's got their hero, right? So
right.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's my best guess, John.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'd believe it, even if that might not be it. But I will accept that as what's happening. Yeah, Dota is a very mysterious game, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah. As long as it explains it, that's fine. Still, it's gonna be rather explosive from both sides. Again, I think the mid lane's gonna be where it really shines. Armel and the Kunkka just always forces the opposing mid to play on the edge, and Morphling is a hero that you really have to juggle on the edge. We'll see how much Alacrity can get out and whether or not Armel can punish.
March could be in trouble early on. He does now get spotted out by Nuts. Hustler is being very patient with the Fisher. And they're trying to just set up to see if they can actually wrap around March on that Chen, but ultimately he will now back off. The ball will still keep eyes on him, but he'll take it for himself. It'll expire now as well. March just takes it and doesn't last very long. That's a bit unfortunate for March. Running to Nuts now. No, Gabby and March going to move forward, maybe just thinking they can try to fight over this bounty. They have got both the top bounties already secured, so Drew now is going to run onto Gabby, trying to get some early harassment out. He doesn't have the Fury swipes, but even just with the Earthshock, he can do a fair bit, but Hustler misses the Fisher, or rather connected, but got it kind of wrong. Wrong way around. And, well, Drew is still going to be pretty satisfied with how much harass he got out. Like, Gabby's going to... He's not going to run all the way back to the fountain, is he?
I think they might be looking at a lane swap, perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah, they're bringing
I'm not sure,
KP down bot.
Yeah, it's not a favorable lane, Ursa spec. They just want to give Gabby a bit of a better start. This is unfortunate because you don't have the Divine Favor teleport, so it is slower, but you can still kind of play around that here.
KP will have a much better time. I'm just kind of wondering whether... Hey, Drew probably won't even bother. I mean, you already mentioned the Chen teleport. You're always going to win that lane swapping when it comes to it if you have a Chen on your side of things. They will swap out the supports, though. It looks like Hustler does make his way down to the bot lane. They do send Nuts up to the top. I suppose if you are Nuts on the Jakiro, you are going to deal much better with the Mirana than, say, the Earthshaker is.
Yeah, it's already a pretty good trade, despite being a level behind. Nuts just The DOT damage is a lot, and this will force Tims to eat through that early regen.
Arrow?
Oh,
Nope, won't connect. Nice little dodge out there from Nuts. Gabby's still not going to have an easy time up the top lane either, though, on that spec, I've got to say. Like, Jakiro Beastmaster. Easier than Ursa, for sure. But still not that easy once you've got those balls up at a higher level.
no. And the issue is, you went for the Chen, but you don't have the Chen to steal the boars. So that combination, that counter pick, isn't really going to be a factor up top, which means, you know, you get a lot more presence coming out from KYXY.
I guess you've still got the arrows, though, from Tim's, but that's, yeah, it's really all you've got. You've just got to try and connect the arrows off onto the boars. It's the best option now. As long as Gabby's farming, I don't think they really care which way around it's going to be. Gabby is currently sitting at 5 and 3, though. I mean, in terms of CS, he's not exactly pulling very far ahead at the moment, but you could kind of say it was due to the fact that he did miss the first creep wave anyway.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky when you do that. They do actually rotate March. So he's a bit... He's up there. He has Divine Favor up. They do actually want to keep controlling that BM anywhere.
Arrow does connect Tims now with the Spectral Dagger flying in from Gabby. They want to go for this, and Nuts, he's been blocked up by his own creep wave. Oh, what a way to give first blood to TNC. That double creep wave coming towards that T1 tower, working against the Jakiro. And now Gabby's going to be able to walk away with all those creeps and just reset the lane equilibrium, and it's going to make it a lot harder for RR now.
Yeah, it's a great start for TNC. It did cost a rotation for support, so you isolate KP, and he does get cleaned up, but doesn't really matter as much. The Spectre is the key to the game here for TNC. I'm sure KP understands that as well. He's just going to have to ride through this rough lane a bit longer.
That he will. Lacrity mid lane as well, up against that Kunkka. So far hasn't been very great for him, I've got to say. Like, Lacrity's sitting at 12 and 2. Armel's sitting at 23 and 5 CS. Just completely dominating the lane, and poor old Lacrity keeps having to, I mean, look at his damage right now. He's got so much strength on this Morphling, just trying to survive through the creep wave. But there's just no way for him to secure those creep last hits underneath the T1 tower with 47 damage.
Yeah, it's really tricky for the Morph, and again, it's the threat of the Kunkka's damage. He just does way too much, and Alacrity's just gonna have to accept that he can only soak here and hopefully transition to the jungle.
X is there from Armel. He just wants to man-fight Alacrity, not even bothering with the torrent. Alacrity will eventually just have to waveform away. Brings out a Mango for himself and a Fairy Fire, but that's all he has in terms of regen. And we're getting close to that point again where Alacrity is just going to have to strength morph all the way to be able to survive this. In fact, Armel saw the Agi morphing going on, so he went for a blind torrent play. And it almost connected, but Alacrity realized it was happening. I'm afraid this lane's not going to get easier, though. Alacrity does waveform in aggressively. Doesn't really lead to anything, and on the brighter side, Armel won't find a power rune for himself.
Yeah, it's one consolation there still. You take a look at that top lane. RR has actually just left Nuts alone, so he's soaking up EXP. Our Beastmaster is just kind of gone
He's
into
just
the jungle this early. Yeah, just eating. It's really early for him to dip in, but I don't think he wants that lane. I just think it's hard against a Chen. You don't want to give the boars away. You are opening yourself up to pick off potentials with all the slows being stacked with a Spectre. So the safe play is just a jungle, but this means you're starving out your other cores once they start to look for jungle farm.
Oh, Armel gonna get jumped on. Arrow flying through. Nice dodge out by Alacrity. They do get the kill on Armel. There's a good rotation out from Hustler to try and turn this mid lane around. The top lane, you look at Nuts. Still alone, and he does die alone. You start to wonder now with RR, should they start really swapping lanes around? Like, maybe for Alacrity, in this mid lane morphling, although it's starting to slowly turn around for him, you might sort of consider maybe I should just go to the top lane and just take that safer farm. That would mean someone else has to take the mid lane though, but I don't necessarily think leaving Nuts here by himself is the greatest idea.
No, this is not optimal for RR. Again, they're just trying to minimize their losses early, but I mean, look, March just chases down KY. XY grabs the boar again, and you still have this issue.
Kill the other boar? He does not get it in time. Those boars are really good XP. So it's March would have loved to just pick that up for himself. Tim's gonna find Nuts on this Jakiro. They look at each other for a second. Now Spectral Dagger's gonna fly out. Arrow, not yet. Tim's just holding. Misses the arrow just barely, but you've got the dagger plus the boar slow. There's no way out. And it's one thing to be able to soak XP as the Jakiro, but if it's gonna mean giving more gold to Gabby without him missing CS, you may as well just leave the lane empty.
Yeah, they should, because Gabby's off to a spectacularly good start. Top of net worth, finding kills. I mean, down bot, Drew is diving KP, but, you know, it's not the same when a Spectre is getting that kind of farm.
No, it is not. And I think it's at that point now where, although you still can dish a lot of damage out onto KP, he's okay to be able to survive here. And the idea, of course, for TNC would just be to make sure they don't lose those towers early on. Just keep defending that tier 1 bot tower. Don't give any space away to RR. As we'll see ML actually make quite an interesting rotation now. He pops a haste room, but they spotted him out with that observer ward. So ML, he's going to keep running. He is going to find Nuts. Nuts is definitely going to die here. Unless a miracle happens, but no, there's the 5-second arrow into the torrent, and Armel will take the free kill away. On the brighter side, though, for RR, this has allowed Alacrity to really take over in terms of CS. Sitting at 54 CS right now in the Morph, and he's actually only about 30 gold behind Armel.
Yeah, it's not too bad for him, considering how his lane started, but you look up top, you know, all these rotations out, Gabby's left with free lane. He took the tier 1, he has his Necronomicon, so his farm shoots up. And if you don't punish this Spectre soon enough, it's going to come out with a real good timing on whatever they go for.
What do you think he'll go for, by the way, on that Spectre? Like,
I wouldn't mind a Radiance this game still, but we have seen a tendency for Manta Diffusal, or SNY even, if you want to fight earlier. I still think if you stall this game out, you're really not under any threat, unless Alacrity really gets the plays going. But that's a lot of pressure on him.
I think I'd agree with your Radiance idea, though. Especially if he's getting free farm like this. No real reason not to do it. He does miss the pull on the creep wave to try and help him out with this this triple stack that he's trying to take, but he should be okay to do it just with the Necromonicon units, and of course you're going to see some decent neutral items popping out there, though bot lane, a fight has broken out. There's going to be a boat thrown out from Armel, but it doesn't connect on anyone, and now they try to take the outpost away, and they do.
Ooh.
And they
got both.
They got both outposts, RR. Just getting aggressive at the last few seconds as a full team, and there was no way to cancel it.
Yeah, it's a nice take for them. Helps them play catch-up. Helps them rush that level 6 on Hustler. So it gives them options, and they look to want to go for that tier 1 bot as well.
That's a nice vision. KP's locked in the tree line now. He's going to try and run out of there with the press the attack. Still trying to run. There's going to be a buyback there on Tims, who did die immediately. March getting pretty low, though, still surviving. And now the horn from Gabby. They do get KYXY. Now Alacrity going to be in trouble. Still trying to run away. He does waveform out of there. Still being chased down, however. Do they have any form of stun? It's really only Tims, and he's waiting for his arrow to be back up and online. It's going to be a blind arrow, it looks like, as well, as everyone's just getting out of vision now. He doesn't even bother with it. He'll just save it for the siege creep. Try and slow down that tier 1 bot tower push. Ultimately, a 3-for-1 trade for RR plus a buyback from Tims. I suppose Reality Rift should probably feel okay about that trade.
Definitely. They got a lot more. They force out the haunt usage under controlled circumstances as well, so they mitigate their losses, and they do keep it a bit even. You still worry about the progression on Gabby. He is actually rushing that Radiance, so our Spectre's probably going to be out of these fights unless he has Haunt, which gives RR big windows to fight, big windows to play aggressively. Again, they've got the Ursa, they've got the Morph, there is opportunity there to play a bit faster, and they really will have to. They don't want to have to drag it out to late game. TNC, you know, they've kind of struggled in the past few fights just finding their opening.
KYXY, mid lane, has the roar up now. KP going to be in the spot of bother as Alacrity does waveform in as well. He will be able to press the attack, though no, he'll just make a run. Now does heal, and he does make it out. They just don't have the damage output. Mel now with that Moonlight Shadow going to rush in to try and get KYXY. Gets the X with the bone flying in. There's some nice units to take out there as well, and KP comes in with the overwhelming odds and takes the kill for himself.
Yeah, just a bit of a secure for himself, just showing that he's helping out. And once more, you are seeing this draft from TNC kick in. It's that regeneration they have. It's the sustain Chen brings. You can't really go for these easy pickoffs because that global heal is there. Now that it's used though, RR, they could try for something. It's a pretty long cooldown. It's just they kind of blew everything they had as well to try to find that.
Yeah, you need the roar. Nothing's going to happen without that roar, not at this stage of the game. They're going to try and set up that mid tier 1 again. The bot tier 1 again. This time around, I believe they should find it. In fact, they're going to try and go onto Tim's, but Tim's will just leap away. But they've been trying to get this tier 1 tower for so long now. That's all they want. They don't care about the hero kills. Now they'll contest this ancient stack as well that KP and Tim's were trying to take. Alacrity will be there to try and just take all that for himself. And it looks like the only thing TNC are willing to do right now is just let Armel push that mid tier 1 in. Of course, we haven't talked about it for a few minutes, but Gabby is still free farming and building into that Radiance. And being at the top of the net worth board, it's not going to take him too long to just have that up. Especially if they get this mid tier 1 tower, which they are.
Yeah, RR, I mean, sure, they got the stacks, but you lose a mid objective like that, opens up the map a lot more for TNC. Makes it harder to jump onto Gabby if you were looking to punish at some point. So this really just helps TNC out. This gives them more space. You've got the Spirit Vessel now on Armel, so that's an immediate smoke. They want to try and maximize that first charge.
Oh, Arch. X going to be there on KYXY. Boat coming in as well. KYXY just stands there like a man and takes it. Now the arrow and the jewel, of course, will allow them to secure the kill. TNC not going to even try and bother. No, they will. I was about to say they're not going to bother for the outpost, but March will go and do the responsible thing. Everyone else was running back into the mid lane to see if they could get nuts on that Jakiro, but he has backed off in time. It looks like RR are still just trying to get their own farm up. Like, you look at Drew on that Ursa. It's about to hit that level 10 mark, trying to go for the Basher after picking up the Yasha. And of course, Alacrity on the Morphling. He is getting closer and closer to the Ethereal Blade. Almost has the Eagle Song. It's not the fastest process for a Morphling, but he's getting there.
Yeah, it's a steady build-up, and that's something
Bot lane.
RR can look at.
Yeah, March. Oh, Moonlight Shadow's going to save him. They don't have... Oh, March, he went into the Sentry Ward. Don't walk that way, March. Go the other way.
Wait, no. He's out again.
And a god. Armel, meanwhile, kills up Hostler up at that top lane. And March actually got out of there.
Oh, that's just silly. That should not have happened. But again, TNC finding the better end of those trades. They force out ult usages from RR. So this is downtime for both sides. And this is just farming time for both Gabby and Alacrity. You look at Alacrity, he does have that Eagle Song. So he just lacks the Ghost Scepter. That's a big spike for a Morph. Once he has it, I just worry that it's not enough. I'm not sure who he can really burst down with all the sustain on TNC.
Drew? What? Why'd you Earthshock like that, sir? Arrow, gonna fly in. He's gonna try and make a run for it with Enrage. He might be able to get out of this, but KP's on the chase for that jewel, and they get the X off. Now the boat to fly in as well. KP just waiting for his free damage, and he'll take it. Armel securing the kill. And Drew just kind of jumped behind the T2 tower, but then ignored Tim's, maybe realizing he jumped too far, and even Nuts now on the Jakiro.
Oh boy.
An easy kill onto that Jakiro, and I guess it buys time for Hustler to get that blink up, which he does now have. But that's going to be a 10-5 now, 2k net worth lead for TNC.
Yeah, it's not a very wide net worth lead for TNC. So RR is keeping up with Alacrity and to a certain extent with Drew. But, you know, Gabby's hitting his timing as well. Just lacks that recipe on the Spectre. Once that's up, his damage output shoots an incredible amount. You will still need a lot of stat padding to increase that durability. But you're about to hit the point where the Spectre's haunt will do tons more damage in a fight. So you start to get a bit worried about the timing for RR. Of course, the Radiance makes it harder for Alacrity to play on low HP.
KYX
because of her burn chance.
Yeah, that, you know, it's one of those things that unfortunately farming underneath the Radiant Vision, it does cost them another kill. Now Armel mid lane going to be there to defend. Ice Path, KP, Armel both caught in it. Now KP with the Macropie going to take a lot of damage, but no, there's no dust!
What?
Oh, come on now. You're going to have some detection if you're going to do that.
Oh no, that's the third time that they've slipped the kill like this, and
You can't do that.
no. It's costing them. Like, these are very big opportunities to find that lead. Alacrity has a shotgun.
Okay.
He doesn't even get the kill.
No, Tim's just... It's fun. Oh, Echo being committed. Hustler! He'll do it his damn self. Drew does pick up both kills on the Ursa. But Hustler really setting up for his team with the surprise reveal on the Blink Dagger. And now it's immediately to the Roshan pit.
Yeah, this is so important for RR to take. They are... I mean, TNC's not quite ahead, but RR has
Tims.
sensitive timings. They do catch Tims.
Yeah, he's been caught out here though. Great turret from Armel into a boat. And Tims is still trying to go up against Nuts. Macro being dropped. They both die. At least the Roshan is going the way of Alacrity. Now they jump in onto Armel. And you'd ultimately still call that a better trade for Reality Rift, in all honesty, right? You found Tims, you found that core Kunkka, you found the Aegis, and now you've gotten a T1 tower up top lane.
Yeah, so a lot of objectives being found by RR. They are hitting their stride here. You're at the point where the Ursa with a Basher has a lot more presence. I think the peak of that will be the Abyssal, of course, and Alacrity's burst damage is starting to build up. It's not quite insta-kill just yet, but he's saving up for the Yags, and at that point, it gets a bit ridiculous. So TNC, it's their turn to maybe calm down a bit, wait for certain items and levels on Gabby, just have him tank up, and really start fighting after you've got everything ready on that spec.
Well, Drew, Spectral Dagger does connect on the Ursa. He'll be fine. There's that Radiance. Gabby does now have it up and online. Going into that man to build next, and you know, they haven't actually gone after that Spectre once yet, which is a real concern for RR. Like, you might feel confident with the ES Morph. Whether it's enough with the Ursa to go up against that Spectre in the super late game is really where I get a bit concerned. But I suppose once you have that Aghanim Scepter up on Alacrity, which he is farming for right now, perhaps then, as this dies side, you can really start just rushing towards going high ground and not giving Gabby any more of that time he desperately needs.
Yeah, they've got some key pickups as well to help them out. You've got Necronomicon 3 and KYXY, so the Moonlight Shadow escapes not going to be as effective. Still, TNC, they smoke up.
They do. They want to try and go for a fight. Drew is under vision. They still haven't gotten that D ward off. Feels like I've seen this before, but Armel Xing himself up.
No.
Armel will be okay. They did lose Tims on that Mirana. Was it a Lotus or something? Did I miss?
No, it was Alacrity.
It was
morphed up.
Alacrity. Okay. Alright,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. I forgot about that. Nice play from Alacrity.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Alright, and they'll get the T2 tower.
Top tower is under
Yeah, it's again, RR is hitting their stride. A bit of a risky spot for Gabby to farm, and he's all alone.
Fisher. This is the first time Gabby's had a lot of pressure, and that's going to be a lot of damage out from Drew, but he'll haunt away back down the bot lane where he goes into Alacrity. And he got just shotgun straight to the face. That is unfortunate. But a great pickup there for RR now. And, well, I mean, I was literally talking about it a second ago, John, that they hadn't killed him off yet. Now they do.
Yeah, it's a great balance for RR. They've got a 3k lead. They're looking pretty scary with Alacrity. Their build-up on Drew is pretty darn nice. He's actually opting for the BKB before the Abyssal, so won't have as much mobility without it, but you've got Alacrity to start these fights for you anyway.
X-Torrent going to be there. They do connect with the arrow as well, but he was strength morphing just fine. Of course, the Spirit Vessel going to be a little bit of a problem there for Alacrity. But he won't mind it too much. He does have the Aegis just in case anyway. They're going to go back into that mid-tier 2. Shotgun, they're on Armel with the Ice Blast, and now the Roar being committed. Armel, however, getting it all purged off by KP. Alacrity still will go after that mid-tier 2. Nice dodge on that Torrent with the waveform, but now Arrow will not connect. TNC, unwilling to let this tier 2 tower go down, will continue to hold out. And RR, they decide it's time to back off. I thought they may want to keep pressuring because they do have the Aegis, but I suppose after committing the Roar and even the Echo, it's enough of a push, to say the least.
Yeah, they just run out of tools to force these fights out. So they just step back, they keep farming up. This does give TNC the opportunity to do the same. And I believe Gabby does have the Yasha flying out. Just a little bit more presence from the spec. Still a long way away from being a true menace. Again, you look at that level 20 timing to really kick that in. But at level 17, you're not too far off the mark to hit that. So TNC still has some spikes to reach. Same thing for RR. You've got the Ags now in Alacrity. So that Morph Shaker combination should kick into play here.
Yeah, here we go. Let the fun and games begin. See how much damage Alacrity can pump out with that Enchant Totem.
Dire's top tower is under
He did just lose the Aegis. That timing's over. TNC, try and pressure that tier 2 top tower, and we'll take it fairly easily.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
RR seem unbothered by that as they are pushing in that mid tier 2 tower once again. It was really just nuts there. It's Armel just try and get a torrent off, but won't quite get there. However, RR have now smoked up. Alacrity has now morphed into the ES as well, just waiting on top of the cliff for his first victim. He's not hitting too hard yet. It's 500 per Enchant Totem right now for Alacrity, so it's not too bad. He'll jump in onto Gabby, but there was a lot of creeps waiting there. Boats are flying, not really connecting on anyone. Now the Ice Path Drew. So many fishes on the deck right now, he can't get past. There will be a duel out from KP onto KYXY. He's not going to win it. Echo being committed. Now the Hand of God. Nuts and KP both end up going down. RR looking to back off now, but Drew has been trapped up by Gabby and Armel. Arrow flying through, does connect with the X. RR just couldn't really commit after all those ultimates were expended. Had to just get out of there, and unfortunately for them, Drew was left behind.
Yeah, it's not the best reveal of the Morph Ags. Not really finding the biggest kills and losing your Ursa in the process. So Gabby's going to be happy with that pickup. Does have the Manta style up and running and is inching closer towards that level 20. So the durability of the spec is going to start to kick in. RR, they need a bit more damage coming out in Alacrity. And once he has that potential to just stand and fight, you know, it starts to get a little bit better. You do see Alacrity queue up the BKB. So he just wants that free space to do damage in front. I think that's going to help massively, as it's been a bit of a problem taking complete control in these fights when they don't get that perfect setup coming out from Hustler.
That it is. Now, Hustler's been very liberal with the usage of that Echo Slam as well. Like, we saw the one-man Echo that last team fight, but you might need to look for a multi-person Echo in future, as they need all the damage they can get right now for this dire side. Not that they're behind in the game, but they just need more damage. At tier 2 will be denied off. Gabby just denying that gold away. Top lane is being forced in by Tims with a siege creep, so they may have to react to that. Looks like Tims isn't really intending on sticking around anyway. Just wants to keep forcing waves into that tier 3 tower, and RR are not responding at all. They don't care. They are waiting in that Radiant jungle, just holding it hostage. However, TNC now. March. Why isn't March always revealing the Roshan timers? I swear this man...
He wants to help everyone.
He really does reveal it every single time, doesn't he?
Yeah, that he does. And it's just a bit of a mistype, you know. Sometimes you hold shift when you hit enter, and you unfortunately give everyone the info. Still, RR are relentless. They're just going into the bot tier trees. They do a lot of damage. Witter Morphling, and Alacrity does a good amount just by himself.
They'll drop the macro there, and that'll be it. They'll just not really willing to risk a big team fight right now. RR just will back off. It seems as though Reality Rift are confident to go into that late game stage with their own draft, with the Ursa and the Morphling. I think the one thing you're really worried about here is that Morphling in particular. Alacrity, of course, has so much scaling potential with that Earthshaker. TNC seem to be very, very confident in their own draft to go late game, though. Still putting their faith in Gabby, who is at the top of the net worth board on that Spectre, and looks like he'll be going into a Basher straight after that Manta Style was picked up. Although, we could see both teams running into each other now as the Roshan is back up. March does keep his army around that Roshan pit and just keeps vision of what's going on. Of course, RR with the Ursa and Morph really want to take that very quickly. It's just not going to be that easy. I'm kind of wondering why these creeps are set up in this particular fashion around the Roshan pit, but he was sitting there meticulously setting them up for some reason. I'm just not sure what it is. I suppose the Centaur, though, does make it hard to enter the Roshan pit. But RR smoking up, trying to loop around to that high ground. Arrow does actually connect. And they know it did connect on somebody. So Armel goes in with the torrent. It will not land. Ice Path now. They're trying to blow up Armel. He will BKB up before the shotgun blast came in. And now the boat flies in, but that also misses everyone. Still KB jumps in, gets a jewel off. They do secure one. Now onto the Ursa. Drew is going to just try and run away. And with that enrage, looks like he may be alright. Fisher was there just in case they needed the extra help. The TNC, having that one Beastmaster down, will start the Roshan.
Yeah, they've got the control for it. They don't quite have all their teamfight spells ready, but they have to be aware Hustler does have the Blink and Slam, so there's some potential here for RR.
Oh, Drew, he's going to come in, trying to reveal things up. They are going to Ice Path Gabby. Gabby is stuck right now, but he does get 4-staffed out. Drew keeps jumping in. Echo is there from Hustler. It does do a fair bit of damage to Gabby, but not enough to kill him off. Now Drew has to run. Ice Path is there once again on Armel, but KB gets another jewel off. Still a great fish round from Hustler, connecting on 4. They continue the fight. Now the Macropie being dropped by Nuts. Hustler still trying to run. They get a boat off. Alacrity getting hit by the Torrent boat, and will end up going down, thanks to that Spirit Vessel that was placed on top as well. Now Nuts still trying to just get out of there, but it looks like he is just meant to die here. Get used up, and he's gone. And oh, KYXY, this is not the time, sir. He came back in to try and help out, but it is too late, and that Roar is going to do nothing. As KP was there with the press the attack to purge the stun off. Now Nuts being X'd up. That's going to be a dieback on the Jakiro. A great fish around, but the arrow was there just in case, and KP will happily take the kill. It's a messy, messy team fight, but TNC gets so much out of that.
Oh, they definitely do. This now opens up the rush. You've thrown every spell you've had on RR's side. There's no way to counter fight. a lot of that was on Drew just jumping in early. His team was not ready to back him up, which meant that Hustla's slam wasn't going to be big, and that took a lot of presence away there. Gonna be tricky fighting up here now. You've got the cheese to contend with, and the Aegis up and running on Gabby. You're seeing the effect of this draft, Mike. It's the heals coming out from March. It's the mech and the Hand of God. It's too much for the initial burst of RR to deal with.
It's the funny part as well, right? Like, March hasn't exactly farmed very well on this Chen this game. But just the mech alone with that Hand of God seems to be so much to deal with. And, well, they're not even done. Bot lane, Drew again getting caught by X-Torrent. There'll be a duel straight away, not allowing the enrage. Now the boats are flying in. They don't win the duel, but who cares about that? You got a kill onto that Ursa once again. Now Gabby is on the chase with Tim's, trying to chase down Hustler, who does have the blink up soon, but it won't matter. Gets caught out, and that'll be a double kill now for the Spectre.
Yeah, and again, Gabby's progression is just building up. He's saving up for his Abyssal next, which will allow him to jump and control any target he wants. RR, they're still finding farm on Alacrity. He's still building up, but for him, it's a BKB coming out. So it's not quite going to be enough to just stand there and fight. His damage is limited now.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Oh, Alacrity does actually end up getting
Dire's
March.
bottom tower has fallen.
March just got dropped in the Radiant jungle.
Is under attack.
TNC probably don't really mind too much, but they will respectfully back off just in case they did need those hills in a team fight to come. RR, just back to the farming game for now, just finishing off that BKB on this Morphling. TNC looking to just hold that dire triangle in their own jungle, and well, Mel will just keep this. KP tried to take the creep wave for himself. Mel does take the creep wave with the Tidebringer, of course. He does also have the Imp Claw, so he just, with that Tidebringer hit, you know, you get that guaranteed crit going on a Kunkite. It's just so much damage. And they are going to set
Really
up that
is.
tier 2 bot tower.
Yeah, one hurting point for TNC has to be KP. He's at 16. Even Tim's is at like 18 on the pause for Mirana. So KP's fallen a bit behind, but he's still doing his job still.
Fisher, they jump in, Alacrity is just by himself, commits the shotgun, Hustler there as well, Raw being committed, the hills did come in, KP will die, but they will continue with this team fight. Armel, he popped the BKB going after Hustler, they burst down the Earthshaker, now the boats are come in, buyback from Gabby, he'll haunt in as well, going after Nuts, but he won't find the kill, now Alacrity turns back around on Gabby with the Abyssal Blade, Echo being committed by Hustler, but it was only on one target, Nuts will now die, Alacrity still trying to jump around here, back onto Armel, but can they take the Conker down? Not quite. Arrow does connect on Drew. He'll be fine through the enrage now, going back onto Gabby. He may have died back in all this though, no. That'll be the Aegis. Now going back in. Spectral Dagger does connect on the Ursa. Drew gonna be in trouble and will ultimately die. And now KYXY. Also getting caught out by that jewel. Does go down to KP. There's only really one left here, and I believe that is of course Hustler. Can he make it out? Torrent gonna scout him out just barely, I believe. Yeah, Hustler takes the arrow there from Tim's.
Dire's bottom tower is
Well, that makes it a 7k net worth lead here for TNC. They'll keep going.
Yeah, they've got the Abyssal up in Gabby. They don't have the Aegis, but they know they just blew a lot of big spells on RR's side, so they can get some pressure in and try to at least do some significant chip damage on that tier 3.
Well, they're trying to apply as much as they can now. That macro does make it very, very hard. It looks like they're just going to back out.
Yeah, it's there's a repair kit as well from RR you have to deal with, so it's a bit more annoying than you'd want it to be. Fighting into that high ground, they do rotate down mid, so just find that safer tier 2 pickup before the respawns are in.
That'll be an easy tier 2 to take.
Dire's middle tower is under
They'll take it with zero contention.
has fallen.
I doubt TNC will bother trying to go high ground again until they have another Aegis up on Gabby. They'll just try and control the rest of the map up. That Gabby's gonna find a nice creep there for himself just on the way out. And so KP does now have the Heaven's Halberd up as well. So things are getting harder and harder as time goes on for RR. In terms of item progression, they really haven't had that much.
No. It's really slowing down outside of Alacrity with the BKB. They need a lot more, especially from Drew. He's saving up for the MKB. Still, they smoke up. I'm not sure about this one.
ML gonna break the smoke there with the X play in. Alacrity just can't really do much about it. So that smoke just really meant nothing. They'll still try to get onto that high ground, and they do. Mel's still very far forward, but he's ready to fight. He's even got a nice rune in the bottle right now. An arcane rune. Nuts. He was just trying to hide, now shows himself. Haunt does go in. Gabby straight onto Hustler, not allowing the Blink Echo to come in. Now the Roar being committed onto Gabby, but he'll be fine it seems, as Hustler is still just trying to run away. They'll turn their attention away onto Drew. Still Hustler looking for that perfect opportunity, waiting with the Blink Echo. They're just going to try and make a run for it. KP, he'll go in with the Jewel now. They do need something. They do blink in with a Fisher now, connecting on 5. They do get KP on the LC. Hustler will die, however. Now the Torrent does connect on KYXY. And Alacrity's just trying to run away while they do just give up nuts on the Jakiro. He will not be able to get out of this, and that'll be another 3-for-1 trade for TNC.
Yeah, now they can go straight to the high ground. That was fairly messy from RR. I think Hustler didn't actually get the slam off. He got the slam and then blinked. So it wasn't quite the best result for RR. Still, they've got the repair kit to stall out this push, but it is still going to be coming out here.
Yeah, it won't matter. They just get through it. They'll repair kit up the racks, but they are hitting away. It's causing them no issues at all. Arrow perfect from Tim's. Boat to fly in with the Spirit Vessel. Alacrity barely gets the BKB off in time. That'll save his life. But the Rax is still gone. They just can't defend it. And well, now, maybe you start setting up for that bot push. Maybe you just wait for the next Roshan. Or maybe you just keep farming up on TNC and wait for RR to maybe get impatient and just try and come and take a fight.
Yeah, I think at this point TNC's pretty confident with their lineup. With the objectives they've taken, there are still ways for RR to kind of jump back in. They just are running out of space on the map to farm, and there's still a lot of farm needed. Like, you need a lot more from Alacrity, you need a lot more from Drew. He does have the MKB up on the Ursa, so the damage output of our Ursa is pretty darn good. The issue is he's constantly being controlled and disarmed up, so it's not coming out fast enough, and that is hurting the timing of RR.
Bot lane, they tried to make a play onto Gabby. He does just Spectral Dagger out of there. RR just going to take the outpost on the Radiant side. But Gabby, he just picks up a casual Eye of Skadi for himself now. So that Morphling was already struggling quite a lot with the Spirit Vessels flying out. But now, with the Eye of Skadi, there's really no escaping all this. It's that strength gain is really not going to do much in the middle of a team fight anymore.
No, it's just so vulnerable now, that Morphling, and RR, they need to be able to isolate one. I think that's all they can hope for. They can't take these big fights. Even if you get a big slam from Hustler, for example, I don't think it's enough. I think there's too much sustain from TNC to mitigate that. So they have to look to maybe smoke for an isolated hero. They just haven't had that opportunity to really get that done.
Well, they must know TNC is just waiting for the Roshan to come up. Like, that's maybe their play, is to just try and counter that Roshan. Go for a big team fight there and see if they can make it happen. Feels like if they lose the next Roshan, TNC may just outright win the game. So it's going to be very, very hard to fight into double lives of Gabby. It's already hard enough to killing him once now. Hustler Fisher was at the right time. He does blink out, so KP doesn't get the jewel off. Haunting from Gabby anyway, but he doesn't connect the dagger either. That means Hustler will be okay to TP away.
Yeah, that's pretty poorly timed. They were just looking for a pick off for themselves there. So without that haunt, RR has a bit of a timing window here, and they do smoke up.
Try and make something happen. Alacrity jumps in, trying to go after March, but he will force Staff out. Now the Raw being committed on Armel, but he'll also be fine. Ice Path's flying out. Who are they aiming for, though? Gabby, he's already killed off Nuts on that Jakiro. He does buy back immediately. Now KYXY also going to be in trouble. He will go down on that Beastmaster. Big echo out from Hustler, but is it enough? It's a lot of damage with the heal star coming in from March, and it means nothing. Even Gabby tells them they're just wrong. That'll be another. Alacrity now trying to make a run for it. He has wave 4 up in a couple seconds. TNC may just ignore him and go for the Roshan plane. Well, they tried to get an arrow off. It doesn't quite land in time before the TP finished. But the Roshan is theirs. There's no contest here from RR.
Yeah, and it's a pretty nice Rosh as well. It's got the Ags upgrade coming out, so you could just give that to Armel. And you'd have to deal with a Torrent Storm as well on top of this.
That they will. In fact, no, Gabby takes the Ags.
Ah.
What does that do again? Shadow Step.
It's the single target haunt, which I guess is nice. Just allows them to find those pickoffs. There you go.
This is actually pretty good. Like, considering you're this strong now, you can just chase down this Jakiro every time. And Nuts, by the way, just bought back. That's a dieback on the Jakiro, so he's gone for a minute and a half now. And if the defense was already hard enough, it just got a hell of a lot harder. You've got Echo back up in a few seconds, so Hustler could try and make a play with his team and try to blow some people up. But they are not really grouping up and giving him that opportunity. And in fact, they know where he is. They had some vision on him. So now KYXY getting bashed up by Gabby. The Abyssal, Torrent, all connecting. KYXY is just dead. Now KP running in. Hustler, Alacrity, they do kill KP off, but Hustler will die. He'll buy back along with KYXY. They're going to go for this final team fight. Drew trying to just get back. As KYXY has been caught by Armel. Arrow and Torrent both connecting. Alacrity jumping in again. Echo was committed on who?
No one.
No one, right. Well, there's the duel now as well. Hustler will die back, and well, it's a 2v5 situation. And I believe TNC would call this a win, John. In fact, they do now. The GG has been called.
Yeah, it's rough, RR. Hustler, he had the opportunities for slams, so twice we saw Radiance Burn ruins Blink Daggers, Mike, and that's something Hustler learned the hard way. TNC, in fine form today, do take the first game fairly convincingly. We'll see whether or not RR can shake that off and try to force a draw here.
Yeah, we'll be right back. It is MLP Dota and johnxfire. Should be about 10 minutes for that second game to start between TNC Predator and Reality Rift. We'll see you there.